Hello everyone. For this week's tutorial, I will go over how MP3 and OGG Vorbis files work, because although there are many other types of audio file formats besides WAV and those two, those three are the most popular and what you will see most commonly on the internet, as well as used in video games, so we can ignore all the rest of the file formats. You may remember how in last week's tutorial I said that WAV files store the data totally uncompressed, exactly as it was in the original recording. However, this is not true for MP3 and OGG Vorbis, which, like the JPEG format for graphics, use what is called lossy compression to store the same exact audio data while making it 10 times less the size of a WAV file. Generally, MP3s and OGG Vorbis are measured in what is called bitrate, which is the amount of bits or digital data per second it will store. The greater the bit rate, the more detailed the sound is. Similar to how sample rate works with WAV files. The lower the bit rate, the more high-end and low-end frequencies are lost. So the less richer and more muddy the sound will appear. OGG Vorbis uses this very similar techniques, but keeps many of the contents that MP3 files discard while being even lesser of file size. Generally, for the same exact track, OGG Vorbis is half the size of an MP3 at the same bit rate. However, even though OGG Vorbis does provide less file size for greater sound quality, the catch is that there is many copyright laws around it, which is why it is not supported by default on many electronic devices. So you would have to download software to play it. Whereas WAV and MP3 are supported by default on almost all electronic devices. Whereas MP3 and OGG Vorbis give you the bitrate right up front. You would have to calculate the bitrate yourself with uncompressed files like WAV by multiplying the sample rate by the bit depth by the number of tracks. Where stereo recording, like played through headphones, would have 2 tracks, whereas mono recording, like through a microphone, would have 1 track. So something recorded through headphones would have twice the file size as something recorded through a microphone. Unless you found a way to merge the 2 stereo tracks into 1 single track, which I will demonstrate explicitly in a later tutorial. One thing to note about the technical lingo/jargon you will hear is that the software that is used to compress audio files are called codecs, which is short for encoder and decoder, and refers to how the software both encodes it for playback and decodes it in the same exact file. Referring back to the export menu from last week, you will see options beneath the PCM once you have recorded something, like this. Once you have clicked Export Audio, you should see in the drop-down menu beneath the WAV, there is Other Uncompressed Files, and beneath that MP3 files and OGG Vorbis files. Once you click MP3, you will be prompted with the bitrate mode with the options being preset, a variable bitrate that will vary throughout the track, the average bitrate of the track, or a constant bitrate throughout the track. You will then be prompted for the kilobytes per second you wish to set it at. And for preset and variable, you can change the variable speed to either fast or standard, but for average and constant, variable speed is not an option. The last part of the prompt is channel mode, where you can either have joint stereo, individual stereo channels, or click Force Export to Mono to combine the stereo channels into one single track. Once you are satisfied with your choices, click Save to export the file. Be mindful, though, of the fact that as soon as you save it, you will not be able to undo it. The parts that are lost for good. If you export OGG Vorbis, you will only be prompted for a quality slide from 0 to 10. You will not be able to customize exactly how the quality works, as the algorithm will take care of that entirely. Like with MP3, you will not be able to save the changes once you are done. Join me in next week's tutorial, where I will discuss the mechanics of how your voice works, which is important if you wish to make voice acting for video games. Don't forget to subscribe if you found this video informative, and make sure to see other tutorial videos, and follow me on either Facebook or Twitter for more content.